tonight you're going to get a glimpse of a new way of doing business, one that is going to support the integration of your creative and cultural talents, one that will honor your values and desired contribution, and one that will allow you to do all of these things and still be financially profitable. And we call this way, this new way, True, Paid, Good. And we at Move the Crowd view it as an entrepreneurial journey. So do I have any entrepreneurs in the house? All of you should be raising your hands and saying, me, yes, me, because you are in business, whether you know it or not. So let me tell you a little bit about my entrepreneurial journey. For the last 2.5 decades, I've had the privilege to use my creative talents to encourage greater public awareness and action around pressing social, political, and economic issues. I've used art to impact culture, i.e. shift the way individuals and communities think about themselves, their respective societies, and the world at large. Through art, I've been able to help people approach pressing concerns from a place of vision versus victim. Now, one day, probably about 10 years ago, I looked up from the belly of this work and I realized that I was squarely in my purpose. I was changing lives. I was supporting tangible impact around difficult social issues, and I was building global community in the process. Like, just right there, knew I was doing God's work. But I had a problem. The work was not economically sustainable. My landlord, quite frankly, did not care that I was supporting the cultural empowerment of young women in the slums of Kampala. He wanted the rent. Anybody out there know this story? Anybody out there live this story? Anybody out there currently living this story? If you are, just raise your hand. Imagine we can see you. So I had a real moment of reckoning, and I said to myself, you know, if I was going to stay here and I was going to continue to do this work, I had to figure out a way to have it be sustainable. And so I went and I got a business education, but I didn't go to Harvard or Stanford or Wharton. Instead, I sat at the feet of some very smart, successful individuals who had built multi-million-dollar ventures from dust. People like T. Harv Eker, Bob Proctor, Chet Holmes, Brian Tracy, Jay Abraham, and the list goes on and on. And the experience was amazing because we weren't having these conversations in the arts and culture community. We weren't having these conversations in the activism community. And we weren't even having them in the spiritual community. And I was thrilled to finally be in a room where I could talk about money and my relationship to money, about me having money and making money. And, you know, it was all, like, amazing. But there was a problem still because they were not talking to me. They weren't talking to me as someone who wanted to have my social mission live at the center of what I was building versus as an add-on once I reached the mountaintop, quote, unquote. They weren't talking to me as a young woman of color whose reality and starting points were very different than many of the presenters and the trainers. They weren't talking to me as a cultural creative, as someone whose disciplines and markets were not packaged, boxed, or sold in the traditional ways. And so what that meant was that I had to do a lot of extrapolation in order to have this information be relevant. However, when I did apply the concepts, my financial life changed dramatically. In 8 months, I tripled my income just by applying concepts like monetization and pre-sale. And for those of you out there who are like, monitor who? Monitor what? In the True Paid Good Academy, which we'll talk more about later, we demystify this kind of jargon and help you integrate these concepts so that you can also work towards profitability, and more importantly, work towards profitability that feels good and right for you. So anyway, one day I was sitting in yet another training with another pretty famous person who was doing their thing, and I realized that even though I was hearing him, I wasn't feeling him. And I realized then that I could do this, and I could do it in a way that would be relevant and impactful for the people that I most wanted to serve. And that's how the concept of True Paid Good was created. At the end of the day, I really believe that all of us just want to be true to who we are. We want to be valued and well compensated for what we provide. and we want to make a contribution that matters, be it local or global, or as I like to say, super mom or super mogul. And so that's what you're going to get a glimpse of and have an experience of tonight, is the opportunity of how to stay true, get paid, and do good. So, now that you've heard a little bit about my journey, and this is me and all of my different facets of engagement and all of the ways I've had the privilege to move through all kinds of spaces over the last 2.5 decades. So now that you've heard about that, I want to know about you. Who's in the house tonight? And so I want to ask Joselina. Joselina, are you there?
I sure am. Can you hear me okay?
Love it. I can so totally hear you.
Great.
So you guys should know that at Move the Crowd, we have a nickname. We have a nickname for everybody in the company, but Joselina we call the glue. So it's Joselina, a.k.a. the glue, because there's no way that you enter into the space of Move the Crowd without meeting Miss Joselina. She is the one who holds you as you navigate your way through our work. So I'm going to ask you, gorgeous Joselina, to open the lines, and let's hear from a couple of people. And here's how I would love for you guys to introduce yourselves. So name your location, like where you're hailing from, what part of the country, what region, or however you want to represent yourself in terms of location. What your venture is about. And when I say venture, listen, project, initiative, however you're describing it, I don't care what stage it's in, but just like what are you up to? And then a hope that you have for our time tonight. So hopefully maybe we'll take two, three folks, see how we do on time.
Yep, sure. And what we could do, if you just want to chat me in the chat section, I can unmute you, and we could let you share. And I just want to say I love everybody on the call already. This is the most action we've had in the chat section so far. So love to hear more about what you guys are up to. So I'm going to unmute, first of all, Amber Renee, so she can share a little bit. Okay.
Hello, hello.
Oh, hi. Can you hear me?
Hey, yep, we sure can, Amber.
Hi. So I'm Amber Renee. I am currently in Baltimore, Maryland. I moved about 2 years ago once I got married, but I am from Atlanta, Georgia. So ATL, what's up? My venture is custom design. So it's graphic design, but my primary focus is invitations and stationery. And I know that could sound a little weird, but I design custom invitations and printed stationery. My hope for the evening is to figure out the next step with True+Paid+Good, and just continue to stay motivated so that I can have a plan for 2013, because I definitely want to grow my income, but more importantly, I want to create residual income for my business.
Okay. So what's the master plan for 2013? And particularly with an emphasis on residual income, and how do you start to set up those streams for yourself?
Are you asking me what my master plan is? I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm saying, like what I hear. I'm just saying what I heard you say in terms of your hope for tonight. I'm just sorry. I should have said that. I'm paraphrasing back, Amber. Renee.
Okay, I'm sorry. I wanted to make sure I wasn't not answering your question.
Oh, no, and I just want to make sure that I got you, that I heard what you said. So figuring out the next step with True+Paid+Good, and sort of how can True+Paid+Good serve you or support you. And what it's about is really identifying and articulating your master plan for 2013, which for you, you definitely feel like residual income and the vision for residual income is a part of this conversation.
Completely.
Awesome. Welcome, Amber Renee. So great to have you in the house. Okay, who's next?
All right, we have some more folks. I'm going to unmute Michael Hewitt now so he could share a little bit about what he has going on.
Awesome. Hey,
Hi.
Michael.
Hi, Rha.
How are you?
Fantastic. It's great to speak with you finally. You've told me so much about you.
Oh, thank you, my love. So tell me more about you. Where are you calling in from?
I'm calling in from Brooklyn, Fort Greene.
Uh-huh.
And this is home. And I have an academy as well. It's called Sarva Yoga Academy, and I launched it in 2010. And it's continued every year. It's a 7-month training and in yoga and how to take the principles of a spiritual person and export them in a way that's, again, true to each individual and unique to each individual, do the most good. And we're 3 years old, and I'm looking for ways to continue to share the brand intelligently because it is a very handmade, hands-on, intimate training.
Mm-hmm.
So it's interesting. I want to expand the growth, but not make it too big to prevent it from being as intimate as it is now.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Love it. So for you, in terms of the hope for our time, as you're listening inside of this opportunity for, and I love what you said, right? Share the brand intelligently. Such a beautiful statement. And Michael tells me a lot about your intentionality and the way in which you do the work that you do. I can feel the intentionality in your being. And so you say share the brand intelligently, and so this conversation about growth, which comes up for a lot of entrepreneurs, right? When you know you want to get bigger, but how do you maintain the integrity of your brand? And particularly for you, I hear you saying really maintaining the intimacy, which my guess is probably a central part of how you express your brand.
Very much so. It's spread out over 7 months, and the people in the group develop friendships and a bond and share a common language about things that aren't usually so readily a part of conversation or as clearly elucidated as they perhaps have met with these ideas before. And it's like a phoenix kind of training, you know, that people come apart and come back together, and you want to be there for them as that happens. And you know, if it got too big, I don't think it would be healthy for anyone. But I want the brand and the school to be on a good, solid financial foundation and not just kind of plateau in a small, a shrinking community.
Mm-hmm. Got it. Super clear. So how do we keep the community vibrant and expanding while still maintaining and honoring the core tenets and integrity and intention and also the core experience, which is really what your brand is rooted in? Super clear, Michael.
Yes.
Welcome. Welcome to the house, my friend.
That's good to hear.
Joselina, let's take one more maybe.
Okay. If anybody else is interested in sharing, just shout me out through the chat section. Or we could just unmute some folks and put them on the spot.
No. Trust me, we got plenty to cover tonight. So if there's nobody that's itching, but I do want to, you know, again, I love threes, and everybody who knows me well knows I have this thing about threes. I think it comes from being a poet. But if anybody else wants to shout out.
Yeah, we actually have a couple folks. Paris is interested in sharing. So
great.
And also Kelly. So we'll start with Paris.
Let's start with Paris, and then Kelly, I'm going to ask to sit tight. She'll have an opportunity to jump in the next moment, I promise.
Hi. Yeah, so my name's Paris. I'm calling in from Los Angeles today. And I've been working for another company, but really hoping to get my project up off the ground. It relates to natural and non-toxic personal care products, and spreading the word about that. And so I've really been working on my business plan and kind of laying the foundation for it, but I'm looking to get hopefully some inspiration tonight, and as well as kind of some next steps. I'd really like to create something that gives me the financial freedom to do it full time as opposed to and being able to work for myself.
Mm-hmm. Got it. So currently working in another company, but really nurturing your own dream and your own passion which is this natural and non-toxic, and you said personal care products, is that right?
Yeah, and cosmetics, yeah.
And cosmetics. Okay, beautiful. And so you're in the kind of business planning stage, strategic planning stage, and you're interested in hearing a little bit more about next steps. And ultimately, the vision and the goal for you is liberation. So, and in liberation is your ability to really be able to work on the business full time, which means it's profitable enough to sustain you.
Yes, absolutely.
Great. Paris, welcome. Welcome to us. And Paris, where did you hail from? I lost your location.
I'm from LA.
LA. All right. Los Angeles in the house. Has it warmed up out there?
It's still a little chilly out here today. I mean, I'm sure it's nothing compared to the rest of the country, but it has been cold for us.
Oh man. Okay. Well, stay warm, and again, welcome to the conversation.
Thank you.
So, Kelly, I'm going to ask you to hang tight for me. We're going to have another moment to open it up, so just please, no worries. And again, as I mentioned, I'd love to hear from as many of you all as possible tonight, because we're really going to be in a conversation. And how I want to open the conversation is to talk a little bit about the New Year's message, and particularly the nature of the message that I received this year. So, every year for the last 4 years, I have shared with my community, which is ever-changing and growing and expanding, a New Year's message, which comes to me as a spiritual download. And it contains the concepts and themes and principles that Spirit is often asking us to engage as we navigate through the course of the year. And it comes at a time when I'm very, very quiet, so it's usually towards the end of the year. I've slowed down. I'm with families and friends, sometimes, cooking in the kitchen, and all of a sudden I will be drawn away from whatever it is I'm doing, and literally my hand will touch the paper and it will come. And it isn't me. It isn't about me. It is about what has chosen to come through me in that moment. And I've had this experience really all my life, but 4 years ago was really where I got the mandate from Spirit to begin to share it, and to begin to share it in a more public way. And every year it seems like the circle gets larger and larger. In any event, this year, what came through as the message is that the year of 2013 is all about relationships and resources. Relationships and resources. And what lives at the heart of this message is the request and desire for all of us to live our truth and find the truth in each other. So this is a year that is all about living your truth and finding the truth in each other. And it's also a year of living your truth and finding the truth in your relationship to everything and everyone. Now, part of receiving this message and part of what came through in receiving this message was not only was I to share it and disseminate it, and again, the circle, like I said, gets wider every year, but also I got the mandate to teach it, and to teach it throughout the course of the year, because there is something energetically contained in the center of the message that has the opportunity to open up tremendous breakthroughs for everyone who engages in the area of prosperity and abundance. And the energy of this year, the energy field of this year, is conducive to supporting quantum leaps in the quality of your relationships and the capacity of your resources. And so Spirit, for that reason, has mandated that I teach this message throughout the course of the year, and there will be various monthly themes that build on and draw from the message, and also that we establish and move the crowd a community of practice, which I'm going to talk more to you all about later. So this opportunity for breakthrough in prosperity, abundance. And I sort of say, you know, no matter where we are, no matter what we're building, I think we could all use one of those to the next level. And then also this opportunity to have a quantum leap in your reality as it relates to the quality of your relationships and the quality and the capacity of your resources. So I know that you all got the assignment to watch the New Year's message, the videotaped New Year's message. And what I want to begin to do is just kind of open up the lines. And again, hopefully, and I want to hear from a couple of people, like, what was your impression of the message? What resonated for you? What stuck with you? What stayed with you? And what are you thinking about as a result of having had the chance to experience it? And again, we'll take maybe one or two folks and just begin to kick off the conversation.
Okay, thanks, Rha. And again, just let me know through chat if you're interested in sharing, and I'll unmute you. I guess we can try and check in with Kelly first. I believe she's calling in and is also on the computer, so I'm just going to unmute the calling users. Kelly? Kelly? Looks like she's not calling in. She might actually be only on chat. Anyone else interested in sharing?
Did anyone do the assignment? That's now what I got to ask, right?
Amber Ray did.
Oh, I'd love to know who did the assignment. That's what I want to know.
Okay. Amber Ray did the assignment. Queen Truth is laughing, and so is J-Lo.
Am I blowing up people's spots, Queen?
Yeah, so let's Queen did it as well. All right, so let's check in with her first, and then we'll go to Amber.
Lovely, lovely.
Hello?
Hello? Hello?
Hey.
Can you hear me?
Yep, we sure can.
Well, all right. This is So. I'm from California. How you doing, Rha?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm well. I'm glad you're having this. Thanks for inviting me. I definitely kind of feel like how you word relationships, and I guess one thing that has standed for me has been like tap into that you were speaking about in terms of what it gives.
Well, Queen, you're going in and out. I'm losing you a little bit on the audio there. Can you speak again? Let's just see if it got better. Hello? Oh, I think
looks like she might have a
reception,
bad
unfortunately. Yeah, technology.
Yeah, for sure. And also, if Queen, if you want to just send your answers through chat, we can also just share them. All right, so let's see. Check in with Amber.
Sure.
Is that good?
Sure. Yeah. Anybody else who watched the message would love to just hear.
Oh, I watched the message, but I was really more focused on answering the questions in the email that you guys had said was the assignment. So I don't have a good response right now, but I can say in terms of what you just said about living your truth, it's really interesting for me because I've been listening to a lot of podcasts. I decided that, you know, the end of last year, I just wanted to start 2013 off right, going full force, fulfilling what my goals are, and kind of closing one chapter of my business and opening and moving on to the next chapter, which for me in terms of finding the truth in what I do, because I'm always commissioned to do designs for other people, whether it's corporate, celebrity, private client, things like that, I find myself always having to create what other people want. And as an artist, again, my reason for wanting to participate in True+Paid+Good is because I want to be able to really define my own voice versus, and put that product out there versus having to sort of be constrained to the identities of others. I want people to know who I am, and I want to be able to represent the truth in my product. And for me, that resonates around love and faith.
Okay, great. So for you, this conversation of living your truth is rooted in the opportunity to express your own individual voice, your own creativity that's influenced and inspired by what's coming through you versus what may be orchestrated by your clients. And so you said love, faith. I want to get this. You said love, faith, and...
Oh, no, I said love and faith. So because what happens is that sometimes people ask me, they're like, oh, do you do baby? Do you do this and that? And, you know, they have all of these other requests. And I think with most people, sometimes you do things because in your head it's like, oh, it's going to pay me so much, or, you know, I should do this. I need the money. If you need the money, or even if it's just like it's a good amount of money, so you kind of can't turn the opportunity away. I am not doing, I'm not speaking from my heart as an artist and as a writer, so I'm just kind of creating all of these things to make other people happy, but it's sort of isolating my voice because I never have an opportunity to really put my own product out that represents who I am as a person. And that, for me, and you asking the question, is based on love and truth. Like, those are the things that are most important to me. Not love and truth, excuse me, love and faith. So inspiring people with notes of, you know, whatever it is that I've created in terms of my stationery product that has to do with inspiration. And then I really just have an affinity for writing about love. And I don't want to feel like I've got to conform and do something because my competitors are creating these other products and I don't stay up in the market. You know, if I'm writing about love and faith, like, I want to put it out there, and I want my audience that's seeking what I have to find me versus trying to be, you know, what another company is doing.
So great. What's so awesome at what you're saying, Amber, is you are actually in the first question, right? So everybody got the 5 overarching questions, and we are gonna dip into those a little bit. And here's what I would say: whether you did the assignment or not, be present in the conversation, right? So Amber just jumped in, right, and was able to be completely here, like, okay, you know, living your truth. Here's what I'm seeing for myself, right? And what I love about what you're saying, Amber, is that there's this opportunity to challenge, and I'm talking to Amber, but I'm really talking to everybody on the call, this opportunity to challenge what we believe will, quote, unquote, make us money. And the places where we make those little compromises, and y'all know what I'm talking about, where we make those little compromises because we got to, quote, unquote, pay the bills. And we put our truth on the shelf, or we move our truth to the side, or we say one day, someday, or when I get time, or, right? And somehow, Amber's resonating, right? Somehow time goes by, and you're still like, I'm trying to get to it. So, yeah, the mandate this year, the imperative, and I want to really speak it that way, the imperative, like what came through in the message is the imperative that we live our truth this year and that we find the truth in each other. So within these 5 overarching questions, the first question, which is what Amber so beautifully segued us into, was this idea of what wants to move through you. What wants to move through you. Now, here's what I want to say about what's available and possible if you engage in the message this year. And then we're going to open up the conversation about what you see or what you feel is wanting to move through you this year, right? Because this is all about what you envision for yourself this year. So if you engage the message this year, and again, after this conversation, you go back, watch the video, do the 5 questions, give yourself the time and the space. This is your first homework assignment already, you guys. I'm giving homework. I know Jay and Josh out there are laughing. Those are our coaches and our trainers. They're laughing because I give homework. That's what I do. If you talk to me more than 5 minutes, you got a homework assignment. So here we go. But let's talk about why you might want to do the assignment. If you engage this year's message, here's what is possible. Greater sense of self-love and appreciation, deeper connection and sense of belonging to yourself, to others, also to the all-providing source, more love, joy, and intimacy in your relationships, and a greater overall sense of wealth and abundance in your day-to-day. So that's what's available if you choose to lean in to the conversation this year. So, in the context of the overarching questions, I want to come back to the first question, and that is, what wants to come through you this year? And listen, whether or not, again, you watch the assignment or not, be present in this moment and in the question in this moment. What is it that you see that wants to come through you this year? If this is a year about living your truth and finding the truth in each other, what wants to come through? I would love to hear from some folks. What do you see? What do you feel wants to come through you this year?
Okay, so we have a first person, Michael, wants to share. Also, Amber Renee would like to share love and faith to inspire others. So let me just unmute Michael real quick.
Hi.
Hey.
Hi. Well, I agree with you. I think crossing the galactic center did a lot to create a sense of available energy, and also, if not now, when? Feeling in me, at least. And I see it in the community that I work with as well. And so I think what I feel I want to allow to move through is basically unblock that force. I think, like you said, Rha, when, over the holidays, the moment came where you set down what you're doing in the kitchen and started to write something that came through. I think that the power to unblock that to happen, because it is always available if we can not resist. What I want to let come through is clarifying the best information I have at my disposal and sharing it not only with the local community I'm working with through the academy, but in other communities around the country and outside the country. And that also requires in seeing a change in my own personal lifestyle to help unblock that energy from coming through in the highest fidelity.
So
it could be
some,
sorry, it could be as simple as just, I'm walking the walk and changing my lifestyle so that is happening more consistently every day. I know what I need to do, but also I'm thinking about, do I need to move out of such a volatile city as New York? I love it. Do I need to be in a more natural environment to allow these inspirations to come through?
So this question about what needs to shift in order to support the clarification of your work, and you not only looking at it from an external perspective, but looking at what are the internal alignments that may want to happen to support you in being able to, in every moment, get closer to, like, so I'm hearing, Michael, that you have moments, you have glimpses where you know you're plugged in and it's rocking and it's happening. But then how do you support the opportunity to have that happen much more consistently in every moment? And this question about what's conducive environment for you in terms of what's being raised in the questions. Yeah, completely hear you. And, you know, I just want to say for those of you who may be in this conversation like, what the hell are they talking about? Right? Just in case that may be what's going on for you, I'm going to say that this conversation is only going to get more radical because this is what the truth is about, the opportunity to genuinely be plugged in and to genuinely be connected to Source in a way that really lifts what you're up to. You know, at Move the Crowd, we do the spreadsheets, we do the Excel, we run your numbers, don't trip. It's all in there. This is entrepreneurial training and development, but we begin the conversation by talking to the soul, and that's where we live, right? So hopefully, you know, it's not getting too weird and strange for you, but if it is, I want to hear from you too. I especially want to hear from you if you're freaked out right now by what we're talking about. Okay, Joselina, anyone else want to step in and answer this question, what wants to come through you this year?
Yeah, actually, just about everybody is sharing away on chat. So I could just start real quick with sharing what they have. So actually, show is how Queen would like to be referred to, so there's no confusion. But so she says, inspiration, innovation, in my opinion, there must be a shift. Things cannot remain the same. Also, Kelly would like to cultivate my chi, be in good company to share and build community through sharing tea. And I'm assuming it's chi and not chai. Because that's what it's spelled.
Yes, it's like a
and Jay, I shine, you shine, we all shine. But we have to work on self first. Paris, moving slower, going deeper. And Amber says, Kelly, I love tea. I'm tea obsessed, sipping right now.
Me too. Amber and Kelly sending you guys love. Got my tea right here.
Yes, and just following up with Jay, breaking bread with community is so important. Yeah, Kelly.
Yeah, and I love that you all are talking to each other. Please connect. If somebody says something in the chat that you love and, you know, and it resonates for you, touch them, right? Okay, so beautiful, Joselina. Thank you for that. And now I want to move to the next question. And this one we're going to take in 3 parts. And we're going into your relationships. And I know that for most of us, that can be very tricky, choppy waters. Right? So I want to open it, right? I want to open the door. And I see Show already, my love, I see you already showing up in this conversation, right? So the question that we're engaging in, and it's going to be in 3 parts, you guys, right? And again, I want to hear you engage. So the question is, where are you being moved in your relationships? And the first place is to greater generosity. So where in your relationships are you being moved to greater generosity? Would love to hear from folks on that. And maybe take 1 or 2 live, and then again, you guys hit us up in the chat. If you're feeling it in the chat, go into the chat. But I'd love to hear from a few people to give voice to. Where are you moving to greater generosity in your relationships? Where are you being moved to greater generosity in your relationships?
So again, just let me know. I see Barbara has shared through chat. I'd love to just take her off mute for a moment since we haven't heard from her yet.
Hey, Barbara.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. So great to have you in the conversation.
Thank you. I was in a noisy area. I was unable to really log in.
But sounds like it's quieted down over there. So what about for you? Where are you being moved in your relationship to greater generosity?
I would say, I think it connects with me in sharing resources. I've been building a lot of new relationships lately where I think it's been challenging my generosity in terms of how much I think I can give and how far that stretches, and really processing how it all comes back to me, and it's this cycle. And I think that ties with, someone mentioned exhaustion earlier, of knowing how much to give, and when you give, when it's benefiting you or when it's taking more from you than you actually want to give. So kind of establishing that balance, I think, is a challenge for me in relationships.
Mm-hmm. Establishing that balance, powerful.
Mm-hmm.
So the question for you may be, where are you being moved to greater generosity with yourself? And I really want to say that not just right for Barbara, but for all of us, because, immediately what we think about in our relationships sometimes is we automatically think sort of other person, right? Mm-hmm. But our primary relationship is with ourselves. So there may be a question about, if what's showing up is this element or this aspect of scarcity in the giving for you, or being stretched or being pushed in the giving for you. There's also a question about where's generosity present with you and you.
Right.
Okay. Great, Barbara. Thank you so much for sharing. Can I hear from maybe one other? Yeah, you're so welcome. One other person, greater generosity. I see you got one in the chat, so hopefully I'm going to ask you to take that one in the chat, and then I'm going to move to part 2 of this question.
Okay, we've actually had a few folks come in through chat with some answers. So Queen says, more joy. Sorry, folks, just keep on coming through. Let me go back. More joy in both process and completion, less exhaustion. And everybody agrees with that. She's also moving towards greater generosity in her silent meditative practice, having guests in her home and cooking for them, and herself knowing how and when the work is not hers.
Ashe.
Michael, stretch the boundary without disrespecting personal capacity. And Josh agrees, absolutely, greater generosity with self for me as well.
Lovely, lovely. Okay, you all. So let's continue to be. I see you got one more coming in. This is so beautiful.
We have like 5 more coming in.
I know. I'm loving that you guys are in this conversation.
Yeah, Jason agrees is being moved forward to provide mentorship and emotional support to my nephews now in Atlanta.
Okay, so let's keep the conversation rolling. So we're now moving into the second question. So where in your relationships are you being moved to deeper receptivity? So 2013 is not the year to go it alone. Each of us must learn this year how to be supported. Critical, critical, critical. So, you know, some of my traditional mavericks out there, I've been hearing from my mavericks this week, and what they've been reporting to me is that the universe has been kicking their butt. And I've been laughing because I know that what is central to the conversation this year is that support is necessary for all of us. So I want to hear from you guys. Where are you moving to deeper receptivity? Where in your relationships are you being moved to deeper receptivity? So again, maybe one live, Joselina, and then we'll let folks chat it up in the chat section.
Sure. And again, just let me know who's interested in being unmuted. I know we haven't heard from Priya. I believe that's how you pronounce it. I know Jason isn't available to talk, but he's chatting away as well. So can we take off Queen? I see she's sharing through chat.
Sure. Deeper receptivity.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm just going to mute her real quick.
Hello?
Yeah, we can hear you, Sho.
Okay, no, so, all right. So, Sho is, yeah, this is...
Queen got in. Hey!
Yeah, Sho is trying to give me a run for my money today. I see you, Sho. Well, thank you for having me on this and for tuning me in to answer this particular question. What I wrote on the chat, and which still reigns true, is that I am and continue to be receptive to all the givers showing up in my life. I do not resist the givers, and I know that at times it is difficult to receive help with certain things, or to receive people who show up out the blue to offer something that Spirit may have moved them to offer you, and I am not blocking that at all, and that is in respects to finances, financial support for my projects, and also in matters of the heart. A lot of times the people who, well, lately the people who've been showing up are not the people who have been expected, or the people who probably should be showing up, but my heart is open, receptive to that, and to receiving all of the blessings that are for me in the ways that they're coming, and making sure that I do not reject or block them.
Lovely. Lovely. And I love, Queen, that you know what those areas are for you. You're like, finances, matters of heart. You know what I mean? Like, yes. Clear. Super, super yes. Clear. Beautiful, beautiful. Joselina, other folks in the chat responding to this one, deeper receptivity. Where are you being moved in your relationships to deeper receptivity?
Sure, yeah, we have quite a few answers. Michael responds that in meditation, listening to every level for where I'm refusing what's arising in or around me. From Paris, less multitasking, more presence. It's a big one. Show is definitely in my romantic relationship, realizing that love is possible for me and not just everyone else outside of me. Yeah. Barbara, truly believing that you are deserving and worthy of those gifts of generosity. Show also, it allows me to have more balance, prayer, meditation, special times. I'm back with Amber, receiving feedback from my spouse. I used to get frustrated with his opinions, but I'm more open to his views.
Beautiful, beautiful. Just, whew, lovely, lovely you all. And you know, here's what I want to say about this one, and then we're going to move to part 3 of this question, right? Because I promise you guys it's a 3-parter. If you are experiencing any tightness in your finances, it is a breakdown in receptivity. I'll say that again. If you are experiencing any lack or any sense of constriction around your finances, It is a symptom of a breakdown in receptivity. So, we talked about the inside of this conversation being about prosperity and abundance and having a breakthrough in prosperity and abundance. Guess what? Receptivity is often where the breakdown resides. So people are really heavy on the give and really light on the receive. So, listen if you feel or you hear anything in that that's resonating for you. The place you want to look at is your receptivity, right, and the degree to which you are able and willing to receive contribution, all forms of contribution. Okay, let's go to the next one. Finally, higher understanding. Where in my relationships am I being moved to higher understanding? Again, maybe we take one live and then we rock out the chat section. Where in my relationships am I being moved to higher understanding?
Okay, maybe just give folks a second to let us know if you're interested in sharing. No, we haven't heard from Jay in a long time, or Josh. I think Alexis also. Not sure if she's.
Yeah, I love Alexis, Josh, Jay, whoever wants to jump into this one.
Michael also is willing to share, so why don't we just jump with him real quick?
Yeah, you choose. So, Michael, what are you seeing?
Well, 2012 was marked with some pretty earthquake-like activity in my relationships with some mentors I had, and also romantic relationships. And on the other side of it, keeping open to, okay, well, some lessons come as catharses or apparent like crises, but if, one of the best things I've ever learned was don't let a good crisis go to waste. So perhaps after the initial shock, I was happy to see that, my next way of engaging with the event was to go, what can I learn from this? And on the other side of it, pretty quickly, I think the cats have landed on their feet, and I feel like I've been rerouted in directions that were blind spots, and I was ignoring before, and I don't know if I would have begun working to grow in these ways if there hadn't been on the surface a catastrophe. And the end, things have been okay.
Powerful. Yeah.
I feel realigned to it, actually.
Would you say I've realigned to it?
I feel a realignment came from it.
Yeah. Beautiful. So, yes, and I see people already in the chat, right, Hustlita? There are people already responding to what Michael has said.
Yeah, for sure. Those are some powerful words. So, yeah, we could definitely go over to chat and look at what folks are saying. Amber says, stop blaming the clients or others and being accountable. Show, letting my guards down, allowing for others who have my best interests in mind to know the things that are the closest to my heart without being ashamed or afraid to face it. Choosing to no longer live fearful in that respect. Barbara says, in stepping outside of my comfort zone, welcoming new perspectives and experiencing new environments, being in my own head can be very limited and stifle growth. And Show says, in essence, truly living free.
Yeah, profound. Opportunity for liberation. I want to circle, right, because this is also in the center of what Michael shared, right? when you can face anything is when you are free. You're not fighting for survival in a conversation. And I really speak it that way, fighting for survival, right? Susan Scott, whose work I am a huge fan of, and we teach her work in the context of the True+Paid+Good Academy, fierce conversations. She says, you know, like why we resist fierce conversations is because I will be seen, I will be known, and I will be changed. And this fear of being, as Michael said, realigned, right? Somebody says something that rocks your world and causes you to question yourself, right? Or question who you are, or where you're standing. The opportunity to move to higher understanding. So the choppy waters, and you may be experiencing this year, there's an opportunity to revisit this question. Where in my relationships am I being moved to higher understanding? So I want to thank you all for really participating in this discussion, and we're going to continue to evolve this conversation. And I'm going to say that, you know, as you engage in the message, as you go back now and you get the opportunity to watch the video and you get the opportunity to respond to the 5 questions, let this continue to unravel for you. Let this continue to open up. This is, you know, what I got when I received this download was that this is the onion that's going to want to be peeled all year long. And so truly, if you step in wholeheartedly and engage, this is going to keep breaking open for you. So I want to now move, right, because we've been talking a lot about, you know, relationships as it relates to people, so our relationships with ourselves, our relationships with others, but also integral in the message for the year is living our truth and finding the truth in our relationship, not only to everyone, but also to everything. And we don't talk enough about our relationships to things, places, ideas, concepts, et cetera, and they are being called into examination just as much as our human interactions are this year. So when you step into your work with us, right, one of the primary opportunities you get to do is you get to explore your relationship to capitalism, i.e. making money and doing business, right? Because we live in an entrepreneurial conversation. So why? Because your participation in forging a new chapter in our economy begins with clarity about who you are, what you're here to bring, and the difference that you've been called to make. But in order to engage in this process, you have to acknowledge in a conscious way as entrepreneurs that you are in business. If you want to be financially compensated for what you provide to the world via your passion or your profession, you are in business. All of us participate in the global market and the exchange of goods and services, and all of us have a set of conversations that govern our experience. We're going to share 6 questions that guide our work in opening up this conversation about you and your relationship to capitalism. These 6 questions are designed to give you a chance to take a closer look at what is driving your relationship to doing business and making money. And this is your first, well, actually now this is your second. It was supposed to have been your first, you guys noticed, right? But I gave you one earlier, so this is now your second homework assignment, and I really invite you to take it on. I'm going to walk you guys through the questions, and then I'm going to set you up for how to engage the homework and what you want to keep in mind as you do this, right? So you guys are going to do this offline, but I want to set you up and give you the assignment. So I'll review the 6 questions, and then I'll take any questions. We'll open up at the end just in case you have any questions about the assignment in the Q&A section of our time tonight. I'll take questions you have about this. But right now I just want to kind of give you the download, right? So question number 1, how do you define capitalism? How do you personally define capitalism as a concept? How do you define it? Question number 2, what is your personal relationship to capitalism? And what are the top 5 conversations you have with yourself about your business and or money transactions? So I'm going to read that one again. What is your relationship to capitalism, and what are the top 5 conversations you have with yourself about your business and or money transactions? Question number 3, what are the sources of these conversations? Meaning, where or how did you inherit them? And examples of places where you may have inherited these conversations are the media, messages you received growing up, messages you got through experience, like something happened and then you made a decision about something based upon what, quote unquote, what had happened, right? Question number 4, if you had your way, what would you like to experience in your business and or money transactions? And what is your vision for the way you'd like to do business as an entrepreneur and as a client and a customer? You're looking at both sides of the equation because we live on both sides of the fence, don't we, right? We have a business, we have a venture, or even if you work for somebody, be clear, you're in business, right, Paris? You're in business. So, you know, what's your vision? Whether you're the entrepreneur or whether you're the client or the consumer, what's your vision? Number 5, what would your professional success look like for you at this stage in your life? What would professional success look like for you now? And then question number 6, how do the top 5 conversations that you identified in question number 2 either support or hinder your success? So these are the 6 questions that you are going to engage for homework that will give you an opportunity to identify and understand what your current relationship to capitalism is. Now, here are some important things to keep in mind with this exercise. Number 1, you want to notice the difference or the similarities in how you define capitalism versus your personal relationship to money and actually doing business. So you may have this, you know, really neutral definition of what capitalism is or is not, but somehow when we get into your personal relationship with capitalism, the terrain looks very, very different, right? So you want to notice that for yourself. Number 2, in your top 5 conversations, you want to try to articulate them just as you would say them to yourself. So we're really interested in capturing your internal dialogue here, right? So, for example, one of my conversations with myself when I did this exercise was, you know, I always used to say to myself, didn't realize it, but I always used to say to myself, you know, Rha, that's really great that you want to be an artist and transform the world and, you know, through music and poetry and blah, 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 but ain't nobody going to pay you for that. And, you know, I had no idea that this is what I was saying to myself, right? And meanwhile, I'm trying to aggressively pursue this reality of being an artist and an activist, right, which is like the double, you know, poverty, right? And I used to joke, I'm spiritual, I'm artisty, and activisty, which means I'm, you know, I've sort of signed up for the poverty trifecta, right? So, you know, again, you guys listen for how these conversations occur exactly as you say them to yourself, seeing if you can identify them verbatim. And then number 3, see if you can identify the specific source. So for me, for example, it wasn't just like my family, right, in terms of where the conversation came from, but really see if you can identify who immediately comes to mind. Who's the individual within your family or within your community who comes to mind as the carrier or the source of this conversation, if that's, you know, the case for you, if it was messages you received growing up, right? So for me, it wasn't just my family, it was my father. He was the source of this conversation, and I thought about all the times I heard him repeat what people had said to him and all the times he'd said it to me, like, you can't do that. They're not going to pay you for that. You know, you better go get a real job. You know, you out here scraping and struggling. This is not happening, right? And, you know, if this sounds familiar, just wave your hand, right, wherever you are. Imagine we can see you and just wave your hand or hit us up in the chat like, word, you know, right? So, you know, I was mortified when I realized that my father had gotten in, you guys, because I thought that I had fought him off tooth and nail. You know, we would have these knockdown, drag-out, deeply philosophical conversations, and I was so sure that I was keeping his stuff at bay. and much to my chagrin, he got in. Right? Now, I love my father. My father loves me, just wants to protect me, wants the best for me. You guys know this, right? And I'm sure this is probably the case with those in your family as well. And yet, I was still, you know, prone to inheriting something that I didn't want and that didn't serve me in the context of what it was that I felt I was here to do in the world, right? So I had to work through that one. So you want to notice where that is for you as you move through these conversations. And then if you had your way, get real specific about what your vision is. What do you say? And the same question, what does success look like for you now? You know, we get sold a vision of success, but each of us, and this is the beauty, and I really want to say this humbly, but this is the beauty of the space that we hold and move the crowd. Like, you get to create what your flavor of success is. It's not about being anybody else. It's about what is going to light your fire, what's going to bring you joy and peace and prosperity. And you get to figure that out. This is a space where you get the gift of figuring that out. So that's your assignment. We are creative by nature. And part of what governs the way we experience capitalism is rooted in what we believe, what we've inherited through experience and constant messaging, right? The examples you just heard. And what we've been conditioned by habit to accept. I'm going to say that one again. And what we've been conditioned by habit to accept. The greatest access we have for shifting the paradigm of capitalism resides in transforming our own relationship to what we believe about money and doing business and about ourselves. The potential of this new economy requires that we engage consciously from a place of vision versus victim. So in the mindset wheel, in the world of our mind and the reality of our mind, our beliefs govern our thoughts. Our thoughts guide our actions. Our actions produce our experiences. And our experiences reinforce our beliefs. And we go around and around and around and around. So if we want to experience something different, where we have to go to work, is around what it is that we believe, what it is that we hold in our being to be true. In the True+Paid+Good Academy, we take you through a 6-step process of transforming those limiting conversations and cultivating a new set of beliefs that reinforce your vision, your unique vision for success. So your homework is to answer these 6 questions as honestly as you can and identify which conversations are supporting and which conversations are hindering your flavor of success, so that you can determine if this is a relationship that wants to be transformed within you this year. Where are you being moved around your relationship with capitalism, i.e. money and doing business, this year? And remember, this year carries the potential of the breakthrough in abundance and prosperity. So, Joselina, I want to open it up. Let's see if we want to hear from one or two folks. Like, what's reverberating for you guys as we go into this conversation about your relationship with capitalism? What are you hearing? What are you feeling or seeing for yourself?
Yeah, for sure. And Alexis actually says that she'd love to share, so I'm going to unmute her now. Alexis?
Hey, can y'all hear me?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Hey, Alexis.
Hey, I am so loving this conversation. And where I'm being moved around capitalism, you know, I've been thinking a lot over the past couple of years about internalized capitalism and also my own workaholism and how that's been impacting the way that I relate to work. And I love what folks were saying earlier in the call about the clarity of knowing what is not the work for me and what is the work for me. And so I think this is really rich because a lot of my relationship to capitalism has to do with of course, my self-identification as an anti-capitalist person, right? Right, which is deep, but also a person who has internalized capitalism and kind of like work ethic, self-guilt stuff really deeply running through me at the same time. So I'm really excited to be able to settle into this, you know, my conversations about abundance and about resources, kind of unlinked from my judgment of capitalism and kind of not, as you were talking about earlier, not wanting to even really think about business and exchange critically and specifically because of my critique of capitalism as a dominating relationship itself.
So great, Alexis. Woo, so great that you see that. So great that you spoke that, right? Because that's what automatically will take us out of the game. Like we can't even start the game, right?
Right. Yeah, so I mean, I'm really excited about the opportunity, especially, you know, really thinking about receptivity and generosity and how that relationship, a transformed relationship to resources can grow out of thinking specifically about how I operate within the current system of capitalism. Y'all still there?
Hey, Rha, you there? Okay, I think she might have got cut off for a second. We'll just wait for her to come back on. But thanks, Alexis. Was there anything else you wanted to share?
No, I mean, I think that I'm really getting a lot of clarity out of this conversation, and I just appreciate it. And I look forward to the follow-up emails and everything else.
Great, thanks. Yeah, and for all those folks who want to have those questions, don't worry, we will send them to you through email. So no need to rush and write everything down or any of that. We definitely will get all this information to you after the session is over. So thanks, Alexis. Actually, also Queen, I believe, wanted to share. So I'm just going to mute her real quick.
Hi, everybody. This is Queen from Brooklyn, and I was excited to actually answer this question because I realized that I've never directly defined capitalism before. Of course, I've had feelings about it when the word pops up. There's a lot of energy associated with it, especially depending on who your community is, you know, who's in your news feed. But I never actually directly defined it. But I've always, since I was a little girl, been a creator and an entrepreneur and been very clear about that. An entrepreneur who always was invested in creating things and making things that I could share with people, of course, some of which involved selling those things, but a lot of them were things that I believed in and thought that would add some kind of something positive to people's lives. So I wanted to say that and say that it's not until I entered a period of rest and rejuvenation, which was really necessary for me in the nature of the work that I do, that I started to really think about the term and my relationship with it. And what I discovered for myself now is that what I believe is really necessary is to find seasons. Well, for myself is when I'm in a season of reaping. So a lot of times I think from what I hear from a lot of my friends that people associate with capitalism just working till no end, working till you bleed, working till you've completely reached exhaustion and have nothing left, and grinding, and people have the mantra that you sleep when you die, and I never really believe that. I do believe that I've put in a lot of hard work in many areas of my life, and that when I enter a period of rest and rejuvenation, that's when I really want capitalism or really want finances to work in my favor. So I guess my relationship with capitalism is knowing that there are seasons for reaping where you may be more low-key or in chill mode, and that all the seeds that you've planted have to have room to work for you. There's such a thing that I've learned from farmers is that if you till the ground too much, the harvest won't be as good. Sometimes you have to let the earth rest And so I guess that's what I wanted to share. That right now my relationship is in a season of reaping and knowing that financial abundance can still flow to me even if I'm not grinding or don't have the desire or the energy to grind as hard as some of my peers who are also entrepreneurs.
Thanks, Queen. I think Rha's back on. She got lost for a second. Rha? Hello, Rha. She was on and then she's off. All right. So I guess just real quick, we'll run through the online comments. And thanks again, Queen, for your comments. Everybody's loving them. And we'll start with Michael. Problem comes in not recognizing this and allowing virus thoughts to run amok. Paris, thanks, Alexis. I resonate with your idea of workaholism and the limiting belief that I need to work all the time to create abundance or get ahead. All of the great comments on Queen. Queen is on. Show even just grinding in a different way. Jay, yes, Queen dot is deep. Show sometimes it manifests in different ways. Perhaps you are working another part of the field, even as you rest and rejuvenate, sis. Okay, so looks like Rha is back.
Can you hear me, Joselina?
Yes, now we can.
Oh, you guys, so sorry. So I just want to say I heard Queen, and yes, profound. And the other thing I want to say to you guys is sometimes I do get knocked out. It's the energetics. It has to do with the shift that I'm going through right now. Electronics go out around me, and I don't know if you all experience it. My guess is that sometimes you all do. If technology is acting up around you right now, it also has to do with your energetic field shifting. And this conversation is going to such a high vibration because of you all. You know what I'm saying? Like it's just causing the frequencies to block us out and then bring us back in, plug us out and plug us back in. So Joselina, because Queen really opened up, I mean, Alexis kicked us off and then Queen, kind of just kept bringing it. Anything else you want to share from the chat section before we move?
Sure, just one last chat from Jason. Jason Fitz. We actually have two Jasons on now. Having worked for venture capital and related firms, the term is rooted in ROI. Since then, capitalism has become more about ROE, but not return on equity, return on energy. I hope to further redefine capitalism in this way going forward.
Beautiful. And Jason, ROI stands for, so right, for those of us who may not be in the business lexicon, I'm going to have him chat it back so hopefully they can read it out so we know what these acronyms stand for, right?
Yeah, so return on investment.
So from return on investment to return on energy. Love that. Love that. Okay, so now I want to talk a little bit about your vision and your goal for 2013. And I really want to bring you into what lives at the heart and the foundation of our work, right? So it's kind of like when you walk in the door at Move the Crowd, we're asking you about your relationship to capitalism. And at the same time, we're then moving to the opportunity to really explore the potential of your own true paid good reality. And so I'm going to touch in and give you guys just a little taste of this work in the context of what you're building and visioning for 2013. So as we consider our participation in this new economy, we've got an opportunity to work in an entrepreneurial way as conscious shapers and actors in this new, just, and sustainable paradigm. When we recognize that we are creative, right? So back to the mindset wheel. When we recognize that we are creative, we can take responsibility for the fact that we are in business, and a whole new world of opportunity opens up. We get to ask ourselves, what do I want to create? And more importantly, what am I willing to do to create it? Amber, I'm feeling your energy, so this must be for you, sweetheart. Our greatest challenge is anything we want to achieve in life and in business is developing the discipline to keep our attention on what we want to create versus putting it on what we want to avoid. To stay in vision, no matter what, is the name of the game. Every successful person operates from a context that supports how they live, move, and have their being. And this context serves as a guiding light, as a foundation upon which they build any project, initiative, or venture. We at Move the Crowd believe this context supports our ability to make our highest contributions as individuals, and that it's represented by the integration of three crucial things. Number one, our most deeply held values. Number two, our unique combination of talents, gifts, and abilities. And number three, the passionate impulse that guides us towards the opportunities and challenges we most want to engage in the world. The art of staying true, getting paid, and doing good lives in being able to identify, articulate, and generate from this place. In our work, we express it as an L3. How you live, how you love, and how you lead. More powerful than what you say is what you do. More powerful than what you do is who you be. How you live, love, and lead is about authentically expressing who you really are in service of what you are really here to do in the world. So how you live is about what you value, which defines your vision. How you love is about what you are here to bring, which defines your mission. And how you lead is about what you're here to impact or affect in the world, which defines your purpose. The L3 represents the cornerstone of our work, and in the Academy, it's the place where all entrepreneurs begin the journey of consciously creating their own flavor of success. So I just want you to take a minute now as you're embracing this idea, this concept of how I live, how I love, how I lead, and seeing it as a way to enter into the conversation of value and contribution and impact, and into the conversation of vision and mission and purpose alignment. We want to pose these questions and give you a minute to pose these questions to yourself, right? You can write these down. What do you value? Like when it's all said and done, what's really important? As it relates to how you love, what are you here to bring? This is a conversation about your unique talents, gifts, and abilities. What is the combination of gifts and skills and talents that you've been given to share with the world? And in how you lead, what are you here to impact in the world? What are the opportunities and challenges facing humanity that you feel most inspired to engage and address. So similar to how we open the conversation with what wants to move through you, the L3 is all about supporting your alignment, because success is about alignment. When we are trued up, that is when the miracles and the magic can start to happen. That is also when the ease and flow of experience begins to show up. For those of us who've been in the grind and know the grind really well and have mastery in grinding it out, right? This is where you get to move into ease and flow. So your third homework assignment is going to be setting aside an hour to really go in depth and answer these questions for yourself. And you're going to do this exercise on 3 levels. You're going to start by answering them as a creative exercise using crayons and markers or collage or paint, whatever floats your boat, words, pictures, symbols. You're then going to move to your journal, and inspired by the images you've created, you want to write down your responses to these questions. What do I value? What are my values? What's really important? What am I here to bring? What are my unique talents, gifts, and abilities? And finally, what is it that I most want to affect or impact in the world? Right? What's my purpose? After you've written in response to these questions, the last part of this exercise, you want to see if you can edit each journal response down to a 1 or 2 line declaration. And we're going to provide you with a worksheet that supports your ability to do this, right? So this is a little screenshot of what you're going to be looking for. And just like Joselina is going to send you the link to download the 6 questions of understanding your relationship to capitalism, you will also get this opportunity to download these worksheets so that you can work on your L3 declaration. So you're going to have these worksheets, and you will, as a final aspect of this exercise, formulate your own L3 declaration guided by our examples. So the worksheets include examples to give you a sense of what an articulated L3 looks like. So that is your homework. So now, you guys, I want to open it up for Q&A. And in the context of Q&A, I really want to, 1, give you an opportunity to ask or pose any questions related to the material that we've covered so far. And I also want to specifically address goals and goal setting for the year, right? We're at that place where it's about creating the vision for 2013, and then as an outgrowth of that vision or an extension of that vision, articulating specific goals. And so, you know, again, questions about what we've covered or the opportunity to go in a little bit deeper around your vision for 2013 and your goals. So, Joselina, let's open it up. People can line up in the chat section, and we can unmute. And I'd love to take a couple of folks live, and then again as well, you guys know you can burn it up in the chat if things are resonating for you. So let's roll. You can also post questions in the chat, and Joselina will read them aloud.
Yeah, so thanks, Rha. Definitely any questions you have or if you want to share, just let me know and I'll get at you. So Amber would like to make a comment. Yes, of course.
Oh, hello. So, Rha, I wanted to thank you because Joselina, we had talked on email a couple times last year, and for whatever reason, I was never able to connect with you all, and I'm finally on the webinar this evening, right? And you know how you just have that moment where, like, okay, maybe you're doing something. Before today, I was already on this mission of living my truth. And I'm not going to go into the long story because it's really too long. I'll have to email you about it. But I feel like everything that you said today, which, of course, I couldn't have known because this is my first time participating in the True+Paid+Good webinar series, but everything that you said this evening reaffirmed just messages that I've been getting, right? And when you said success is about your alignment, for a moment I was questioning my living your truth goal. And at the moment I have a particular goal that I'm on the 5th day of, and it goes through 9 days, right? But being here this evening and being able to hear you talk, it just reminded me of why I set that goal and why I have to complete it. And your statement about success is about your alignment, it just totally made me understand why maybe last year I didn't connect with you guys, but this year, because I know I'm ready right now, you know, I know I'm in the right space. And even before tonight, I had already been getting from God, the universe, whatever anyone wants to call it, I call him God. But just the message and the webinar tonight has been absolute, like, reaffirmation and confirmation that I'm moving in the right direction and I just need to continue forward. And so thank you.
You're so, so welcome. So welcome, Amber.
Yeah. Thanks, Amber. I'm so glad we're able to connect with you finally. And if there are any other additional questions, comments? Thank you, Amber.
Amber, we're sending you so much love right now, sis. So much love. Oh, you guys, come, please. I really want to invite you. Let's get it on. I feel like Marvin. Let's get it on.
All right. We have a first question from Michael.
Yeah, go for it, Michael.
Well, I plan on using the snowstorm to go into retreat on these questions, and I like to ask you when I see myself blocked to answer one, or you know, like you were saying, the voices that are working against us moving forward come up and try to obscure the process. Can you recommend constructive ways of working with that?
Absolutely, absolutely. So it's so perfect, Michael, that you would ask this question, because breath is your business, is it not?
So part of it, yeah.
Yeah, and so, you know, you all would be amazed what breath can do, truly. And, you know, the opportunity in doing the work of transforming limiting conversations, and Michael, I should tell you, you know, we have a whole school of thought, we have a whole protocol, we have a whole process that we take you through in the context of the Academy that gives you the tools to transform anything, and I do mean anything. But what begins the process is the willingness to confront and not turn from the limiting conversation. And this is a little controversial in the sense that some of what we've been taught in terms of the traditional transformational work, you know, talks about the positive self-talk, how you talk over these conversations, right, and how you lay affirmations up on top of what I'm going to call weeds. And what we all know is if you try to plant things in a weed-ridden garden, you're not growing much. Yeah. And so part of what we teach in our work is how do you face the conversation and lovingly stare it down and breathe with it and breathe through it and allow it actually to move through you, to energetically dissipate and release its grip through the breath, right? So I'm going to say to you, grounding, like both feet on the ground, shoulder length apart. I mean, you know this stance better than I could, Michael, right? You could teach this to all of us, right? So I know I'm speaking into your expertise, right? And I'm going to ask if you forgive my noviceness, right, in the language. But It is about connecting deeply with the breath and breathing into the conversation and staring at the conversation and beginning to see its falsehood, its fakeness, its illusionness, right? Its illusoriness, right? If that's even a word. But my point is that you confront it and you engage it and you breathe with it until you begin to feel it dissipate. And then you speak to it like you're not the truth, like I hear you talking and you're not the truth. You know, my beloved sister, soul spirit sister, Gabrielle Bernstein, who teaches A Course in Miracles, and she is, for those of you who don't know her, like, woof, she is like the second coming in the conversation of The Course in Miracles. Marianne Williamson was sort of the first wave, and Gabrielle is truly the second wave. But one of the things that they teach and talk about in The Course in Miracles is this idea of choosing love over fear. And recognizing that these negative conversations that come up, or these ego-based conversations, as they would say in the Course, that come up are manifestations of your fear. And so when you breathe and you confront and you face them and you stare them down, and then you really say, I choose love, something different begins to happen in your being. You have the capacity to shift the energy of that conversation and to dissolve the grip that that conversation energetically has on you, simply by beginning to confront it. And then in our work, we do take you through a process that helps you craft a new belief, and you need to put something where it was. I want to say that, you guys, right? It's kind of like when you pull a weed, right? You need to till the soil, fertilize it, nurture it, water it, right? Talk to it, love it up, and then you need to plant new seeds, new conversations that can take the place of the old weeds. So it isn't enough that we just pull the weed, but we also have to put something else in its place, right? So, Michael, for you in particular, right, whatever that negative conversation is, after you stare it down and you energetically confront and begin to transform it, and you call yourself up as love, the next opportunity is to create a new belief, a new conversation that works directly to counter the old one, and you plant that, right?
Yeah,
So
that's really awesome.
Mm-hmm.
This is a process that we just came from like an 8-day silent meditation retreat, and it's the same stuff.
Mm-hmm.
There's bringing these shadowy voices or ideas into the light of consciousness, and then realizing, hey, I'm a person that's here and now, and whoever experienced or was imprinted earlier in my life with certain beliefs that really don't match where I am now, it's now an awareness which is here now. And then I think, as you're saying, the energy can be reinvested in a way that fits where we want to go.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So, Joselina, I'm watching our time here, and I know we need to shift. There's one other thing I want to touch with you all, right? We've been in this conversation of Q&A. There's one other thing I just want to touch with you all, and that is the fact that February is, the theme for February is Call It In. And so as you all are articulating your goals, and we are, a big fan of SMART goals, specific, measurable, attainable, and rooted in time. And if you all need help and support with that, please hit us up. We can provide worksheets for you guys. We have a process and a protocol. Again, in the Academy, we do it in terms of how we set up every entrepreneur's game. There's a rigorous process that they go through for setting up their goals and setting up their games, because we believe in setting you up for success, right? So we spend a lot of time here, and we're very rigorous in that process. But in any event, once you kind of have your SMART goal articulated, your specific, measurable, attainable, rooted in time goals spoken, there is a 6-step manifestation process that we take you through around calling it in. And your February tip of the month, and Joselina, if you guys are not already on our mailing list, Joselina will help you, right? Again, she'll give you access to that where you can sign up and you can get the tip of the month every month. It's a video vlog by me with the themes. And as you guys know, we're teaching the message this year, so every theme that's coming out of 2013 is related to deepening the conversation of relationships and resources, right? Living your truth and finding the truth in each other. And so, you know, the 6-step ritual I'm going to give you is featured in the February tip of the month, and it is all about how we call in what it is that we're committed to having this year. So again, this is all about engaging the law of attraction. And, you know, a lot of us have heard a lot about the law of attraction through The Secret and other folks and blah, blah, blah. But here's the bottom line about the law of attraction. This is about how you become a vibrational match for what it is that you seek to have. And calling it in from a place of recognizing that it is already yours. The truth is, it's already yours. You have a direct line to all providing source, and all you really need to do is call it in. And so I'm going to walk you very quickly through this 6-step process, but again, you'll have the opportunity through our newsletter to access the February tip of the month. This 6-step ritual is listed on our blog, so you can also come onto our site, and you're going to see some links at the bottom that'll give you access to all of this. And so the 6-step ritual process is all about how you call it in. So step 1 is about believing. And I talk about believing as an act of letting go. So you have the opportunity to watch for that in the context of the tip. Step 2, appreciate. Through gratitude, we raise our vibration, which takes us into a higher place of alignment and receptivity. And I walk you through the process of appreciation and how we appreciate. Step 3, you open to receive, which is actually about how you make room in your being to embrace and accept the thing you want. We talked a lot about deeper receptivity today. This is a protocol that actually shows you how you receive, how you embrace the reality and the truth that the goal is already done. Step 4, you give thanks. You all know how to do that. Step 5, you practice remembrance. And practicing remembrance is about not undoing steps 1 through 4 with the habits of fear, worry, and doubt. Right? But we've got to replace that practice with a new practice, right? Just like we talked about pulling the weed, Michael, we got to plant something new in the soil, right? And so practicing remembrance is about bearing witness and watching all of the ways in which the goal is making its way to you. If it's already done, all you get to do is sit back and watch the magic and the miracles roll in. And then finally, step 6, you celebrate. Celebrate every moment that you recognize you're in divine partnership with the universe. Celebrate every moment that you are watching the miracles and the magics and the blessings move towards you, and they will, right? You're celebrating every moment and every day that you're living in unwavering faith and understanding that the goal is already done. So February tip of the month, you have a more in-depth read on this. Again, at the blog, the ritual is listed step by step. I want to invite you to practice with it this month and watch the magic and the miracles unfold. And we want to hear from you guys. So, you know, the last thing I'll say is, you know, we've committed to this community of practice and fostering this community of practice. And these are the things that will enable you to really be down with us this year and engage the message. So watching the New Year's message, which you already have as an assignment, watching the tip of the month, following the daily move, reading our blog, doing the assignments, tweeting, posting, commenting, liking, sharing, all of the ways that you can talk to us. And these are all of the ways that we want to be talking to you all this year. If you want to know more about the Academy, you can reach out to us through our website, and you have the opportunity to do free strategy, one-on-one strategy session with me or J Love or Josh or any one of our coaches or trainers, and we can have a more in-depth conversation with you about what you're up to, what you want to be generating and creating this year, and how we can serve you and support you and help you manifest it. So I want to close tonight. So this is a picture, a snapshot of our blog where the community of practice is set up. Again, you guys can step in and join on. It doesn't cost you anything to join the community of practice. This is our seva to the larger community and our commitment through the spiritual mandate to teach this message. You have access to this for free. So I now want to close us out tonight and read to you guys my favorite quote, and everybody in the Move the Crowd community knows this is my favorite quote, and it's about success, and it's about a new paradigm of success, which is what we are all about. And this quote comes from the work of John Randolph Price, and the book is called The Success Book. And it goes like this: I have made a firm and definite decision in my mind to be wonderfully successful. I now accept the truth that the spiritual idea of true place success, the divine plan for me, is right where I am, in the mind of my inner self. This self knows itself to be a unique expression of God, Source, Creator, the universe. It knows its true worth. That self is who and what I am. I unify with it. Therefore, I am success. I am prosperity. I know that as I recognize and accept the divine plan for my life, which is already the reality of me, it becomes active in my consciousness. I feel its power, its strength, its dynamic urge to manifest itself in my world as new opportunity, as the right path, as the perfect brand, and the ideal venture. There is now unity between the inner world of spirit and the outer world of form. I have embodied the idea of my true place in this world. I have claimed my good, and it is now interpreting itself as the perfect visible expression of contentment, satisfaction, and joy in the service of others. I am success, and it is so. May it be so for each and every one of you tonight. I thank you so much for being with us in the conversation on the webinar. I wish you so much love and peace and joy as you move through 2013. And if we can be of service to you in any way, please don't hesitate to reach out. Sending you so much love. Please take advantage of the links. They are here for you to access the handouts, the quote I just read. All of it is available to you. The community of practice, all of it is available to you. The opportunity of the True+Paid+Good Academy, all of it is available to you. With all my love and all my respect, have a phenomenal evening, you guys. Peace.